Welcome to SilverC Review. Oh yeah. Show off my shirt a little bit. This is for Dr. Seuss Day. 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish. And the back of it is the same. The company I work for loves to do stuff like this. I'm actually on the committee that helps organize stuff like this. I have to be kind of careful because I've got about a 20-foot drop right here into the water, and I have no clue how deep the water is or if there's any rocks in it. I mean, I've jumped from this height, but that was after I had checked the water first, so I'd rather not fall. Anyways, I'm having to re-record this episode, and I'm having to read the same notes I had last time. I had actually typed new notes, and I left them at work. I accidentally took them home. I meant to leave them in my car, and they made it back to work with me. And I didn't want to leave the paper in my lunchbox in the refrigerator, so I put it inside my desk. And usually, at the end of the day, if I opened my desk and I had forgotten to put it back in my lunchbox, I would have noticed it. But we've got visitors coming, so I have a bunch of stuff that's on top of my desk inside my desk. And also, I'm having to record a video for something else that we're doing. So I had to have all my my camera gear and all my cords and stuff also in that drawer. And I was trying to remember to take that stuff home. So the paper got left there, and I wouldn't have even been able to record today, but luckily I had the paper from last time still in my tripod case. And we're going to see if I can make it through this video. For some reason, I guess it's a benefit of not talking very much is this doesn't come up until I decide to record a video. But this winter's been really bad, but a lot of times in the wintertime I get so much stuff in my throat, and for whatever reason when I start talking a whole lot it makes my throat really dry, and I don't know, I can't talk anymore, and it happened halfway through this video, so I'm like re-recording this video, so we will hope for the best. So anyways, the reason I'm re-recording it from the last video is because the waterfall was too loud. You could hear me just fine, but it was definitely overbearing, and it wasn't a very nice sound. Like, if it was rain being that loud, I think that would be fine, but for some reason rushing water it gets annoying over a long period of time. So I wanted to re-record it, and it's also kind of nice because last time, for whatever reason, my ears plugged up, so I was like echoing inside my own head while I was talking. And that really threw off my concentration and all that kind of stuff. But good news is, recording the 3 videos did go well. And I mean, besides that, but that wasn't the fault of recording 3 in a day. So I will be doing that. Probably not anytime soon though, because there's 5 different places here that I can record, and it's only like 10 minutes from my work, so I can do it after work on weekdays. And it's a lot better to do it on weekdays than on weekends, since there's less people out, less distractions. And also as summer comes on, I'll get more daylight after work, so that'll be nice. But I probably won't talk about when I do multiple locations. I'll try to change my clothes up so you won't really know, but you'll have made it through the testing session with me at least, so that'll be all for that. I actually thought recording 3 in a day would be hard because I wouldn't have enough to say, and I have plenty to say, and actually the problem is I have too much to say on the later video. Like the next video I record, that video I may have to extend it, or I'll just hold off and not say everything I want to say in that video. But having a long downtime between recording videos, I got a lot to say. And what else? I think that was it. So the reason I recorded the 3 videos at once is for whatever reason we are having a ton of rain right now. I mean, I know we're getting into spring, but just a ton of rain, and it's still cold. It's not cold today, luckily, but it's been cold, and during that time I had like just that one day, and even that one day it rained on me, and all the other days before that were just pouring down, and it was cold, so I had that one little break. I was like, I gotta go record now. And I still have 2 videos recorded that I haven't edited, and here I am recording this one, so that's why, I don't know, I guess I enjoy recording the videos, so that's why I come back out, even though I don't necessarily need to. And hopefully I beat the sun down too. I know it's dark in this area. I might try to brighten it a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. So let's go into some movies that I've watched recently. X-Men Apocalypse, give that one a 7 out of 10. I'd already seen it, so I watched it again. I like all the X-Men movies, they're really good. Rogue One, give that one a 6 out of 10. I'm a flashy superpowers type of person, so I like the other Star Wars movies better. I know a lot of people like Rogue One better than some of the Star Wars movies, but I mean, it's still made into my collection, but I like the other flashy ones a lot more. And since I said that, I want to explain my collection. Throughout my whole movie-going experience, my whole life, I've kept my collection going, and it consists of any movie that I'm willing to watch over and over. So movies usually that I think highly of. Now there are some movies that I like that once you find out the twist in the movie, it kind of kills its rewatch factor. Like it's good, but now that you know, it just isn't quite as good. Movies that rely on something like that. But my total movie collection is about 1,000 movies, but if I count like all the Disney movies as one, and all the Pixar shorts as one, and any trilogy as one, and a lot of anime movies, like Pokemon. I know it's not necessarily anime, but there's like, how many, 15 of those or something like that. So if I count all that as one, I've got about 600. So I've got about 600 unique titles. And so really that's not that bad, considering a lifetime. But, and I probably missed some when I was counting, so it might be a little bit higher than 600, but those are rough numbers. And with my music, like, I listen to music only when I'm in the car usually, and I've got one MP3 CD, it's about 115 songs, and I'm constantly updating it, taking movies off, adding movies to music, taking songs off, adding songs to it, and it constantly gets changed. It's very based on what's going on in my life, but my movie collection has never changed. There's never been a time that I've removed a movie, that I had a movie that I felt like I didn't want to watch anymore or anything like that. So if I ever say I add a movie to my collection, it's permanent, and that's probably one of the best things I can say about a movie, is if I'm willing to rewatch it multiple times and it got added to my collection, and that's the highest honor that I can give a movie. And my TV series, I don't watch a whole lot of TV series. I like movies way better because I can get the whole storyline, usually, unless it's like trilogy, but even then, I can get a very satisfying ending within from an hour and a half to 3 hours, whereas a series, you can watch 1 or 2 seasons and there's still so much going on. So I'm just, because of the amount of time you have to invest in series, I'm much more drawn to movies. But I mean, I do like series. I do watch some series, Game of Thrones, Black Mirror, Walking Dead, Flash, Green Arrow, or just Arrow. I like more, I guess, sci-fi, so that's the type of series I watch. Animation as well. Lots of anime series. Family Guy, Simpsons, South Park, all that kind of stuff. Usually comedies. So I won't talk much about series because I'm not usually trying new series. So that's why I'm a movie guy. So it's really rare that there will be a trilogy of movies and I don't like a certain one, or even a span of movies and I don't like a certain one. Like, there's not any of those Pokemon movies that I don't like. Like, there might be some that I like better than others, but they all still make it into my collection. That's why I wanted to give that number where I kind of condense it down, because just like the X-Men movies and Rogue One, I mean, if Rogue One was a standalone movie, it didn't have any Star Wars lore, it probably wouldn't have made it into my collection. But because it's part of Star Wars, that's kind of why it did. And it's very rare that a movie out of a series won't make it. The only thing I can think of is Expendables. The very first Expendables I did not like. It just felt like they thought they could just throw all these huge actors together and it was going to be an amazing movie, and it wasn't. And but I really liked Expendables 2 because I felt like they realized their mistake and fixed it, and it was awesome. They played on the what made those actors awesome. And Expendables 3 was not too far behind the second one, so in that case, and like I said, that's the only case I can think of, I do not have Expendables 1 in my collection. Now it does happen occasionally that I will like one movie out of a series and not any of the other ones. For example, Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2. I like that movie, but I do not like any of the other Twilight movies, so I just have that one in my collection. Mainly because the action scene where they're like ripping off each other's heads, that was really cool. And because I'd watched the other movies, I could accept where the storyline was going and everything, but that's still the only movie out of that series that made it. And there are some series that I've just kind of stuck with that I'm not like a die-hard fan of them, but they're okay, like Stuart Little and Transformers. I know those get a lot of heat, but they are in my collection. And it's not like I watch every movie in my collection once a year or anything like that. I mean, it's like The Unborn. It had been several years since I'd watched that, and it's in my collection. It'll be several more years before I watch it again. And but another one that made it was Emoji Movie, and I know a lot of people hate that movie, and I mean, I can see the reasoning why they hate it, but like the product placement and the storyline being generic and all that stuff, or whatever it is that people hate about it, just, I liked it. I thought it was a cool movie. So, it's in my collection. Hate me if you want. So anyways, we're going to go into Dunkirk. And I'm giving this one an 8 out of 10. It's going to have spoilers, so if you've not seen it, go watch it. I highly recommend it. And I'm going to go, not going to hold anything back. So this had a really interesting opening to it, really grabs your attention right off the bat. Grabs your attention and just doesn't really let go. And I thought it was really interesting how they interacted with each other. How when he's says who he is so they don't shoot him, and then climbs over the barrier and just kind of looking at him, and like they have a job to do and that's what they're doing. They're not too worried about him, and he just kind of keeps going, and how he meets the other dude, kind of meets him. He runs into another guy there and kind of understands what he's doing, but yet he just wants a drink of water and takes off, and how he's getting in line with the people. And throughout the whole movie, it's just super interesting how he interacts. And I just never imagined war would be like that, which it might not be, but I always imagined chaos, and you have like squads of people and commanders shouting out, and like they can be distraught and down, but everyone in this mostly everyone was very cool and collected, and they had a job to do, and it was simple. It was not an easy job, but that's just what they did, and they all knew the best way to handle it was to remain calm and level-headed. And like I said, I obviously have no experience with war, but I thought that was interesting. It's not something you seem to see in a lot of war movies, or if in any that I've noticed. The movie seemed to be the most subtle chaos. Like, I mean, there were still subtle, how do you say it? There were still people dying left and right, but it wasn't, like I said, no one was freaking out that they were dead. They were just coolly, calmly trying to help each other out. Everyone had a goal, and I don't know, it was just, I mean, it was still chaotic. There was a lot of emotion in the movie, but it was a very calm chaos. It was interesting how nothing would go right for that main guy. I don't know if it ever said his name. It probably did, and I just missed it. But, I mean, I know there were multiple main characters, but the kid that you see at the beginning, that's throughout the whole movie, and just every single thing would go wrong for him, but he still managed to survive while all these people were dying around him. So that was a unique perspective. And like I said, I did like how it showed the perspective of so many different characters, and I'll get into that more though. I never thought about ducking down when a plane is dive bombing you. I mean, I just always assumed he was coming not at a huge angle, and even if it is, like maybe ducking down 2 feet's not going to help that much, but I guess it could. Or if it hits the ground and something explodes and it shoots through the air, I guess it does increase your chances of survival, but it just never occurred to me that I thought it was strange how every time a plane would come around, everyone would duck down just like out of habit. It was just something you did, and it wasn't something that had ever occurred to me to do. So, yeah, I completely teared up whenever I saw the small boats coming over, or when the commander saw them all, and you had the reaction from the soldiers, and you had all those people that were just regular people that were willing to put everything on the line just to help them out. So I thought that was a super powerful moment. The pilot, I thought it was kind of weird. I mean, I loved the airplane pilot, and what's his name? No, I know the actor, but I don't know his name off the top of my head. And but I thought it was weird how he took that one dude out without any gas, and it didn't show it. Like, it showed the plane, like it had cut to something else, and then it showed the plane going down and him coming back across without any gas. And I'm like, man, in a dogfight and everything, it's super hard to take him down. Somehow he was able to do it by flying at the same level without any gas. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was amazing, and everything he did was selfless, but that was definitely incredible. I wish you could have seen more of it, but still very neat. I was actually kind of sad he got captured. I was assuming he was just going to go back out to sea and just try to land his plane like that other pilot did in the water, and one of the boats going by would just pick him up. But I don't know. I don't know why he decided to land on land unless he had just felt like he had done his duty, and that's why he burnt his plane. And I mean, he still got captured. I assume it was the enemy that was taking him at the end. They weren't friendly, whoever it was. So I didn't really care for that. I thought he could have a better ending, a more heroic ending. I said it was neat how it bounced around between all the main characters. For the most part, it was pretty fluid, which was impressive. There were times that when it would show the same thing happening just from a different angle that I would kind of get confused, because I'd be like, man, didn't this just happen, or didn't this already happen? And that was a little bit weird, but it wasn't too hard to kind of clue in to what was going on, and it was definitely a very unique way to film the movie, so it worked for me. I liked it. And I think because I've already technically done this podcast like multiple times, I'm reading past my bullet points, and that's why I'm having so much blank space. This is another reason I don't want to do a whole lot of edits and re-recording and stuff, because it's not originally me. So that's why I've got pauses, because I'll go through like 3 bullet points and then have to sit there and read them and be like, oh, I've already done that. Anyways, I'm definitely adding this movie to my collection. I was not expecting this to be a good movie. Like, I wasn't expecting it to be a bad movie, but I had put off watching this movie for quite some time because I thought it was just going to be a general war movie. I mean, we get tons of war movies, and it's not something that terribly interests me, so that's what I thought it was going to be. But the way that they didn't put a whole lot of dialogue in this movie, I thought was really, really interesting. And I actually read something online that this director usually does a ton of dialogue in his movie, so it was unique for him not to put a whole bunch in. And I felt like it worked really well. Like I said, showing the movie through images and through emotion was a whole lot better than just having to tell people what's going on. And I mean, I really liked it, and I was not expecting to like it, not this much. So go out and check it out, Dunkirk. We're going to go into my movie recommendation, which is going to be U571. And this movie came out in 2000, and it's another war movie. Very similar to Dunkirk. It relies heavily on imagery and suspense more than it does dialogue. And it is... The description of it is, when a German U-571 submarine with a sophisticated encryption machine on board is sunk during a World War II battle, the Allies send an American Navy force to retrieve it. Boarding the German ship, the Americans cover as a rescue force, which is quickly blown. Forced to take the crew hostage, they plant explosive to destroy the German vessel before the Nazis can send naval backup. So, you can imagine they get on the ship, and they're supposed to be speaking a language they don't usually speak, and when that cover gets blown, they have to take them as hostages. So you're underwater, and everything in a submarine, all the movies and stuff, it's already tense because it's a very tight area. So you're in this tight area with people who would like to kill you so they don't have their secrets released or anything like that, and they're willing to die themselves. A fish just jumped out of the water. So it's a very tense movie, and there's a lot of silence that you can feel the tension and the emotion, which I think makes it a really good movie. That's why I'm recommending it. And you really connect with the characters, what they're going through on both sides, and I think that's about all I can say about the movie without having to spoil or anything. Pretty sure they do some ship-to-submarine battles, and another thing about them being on that submarine is they're having to control it, and it's not in their native language, and it's also not made by them, so everything's different. So on top of being in that situation in general, you also have learning new stuff, and it's life and death, so it's definitely a thrill watching it. So anyways, we're going to go on to jokes and quotes. So, a blind man walks into a bar, and then a table, and then a chair. Oh no, it didn't load fast enough. What? It came up with an ad on this app. It's never done this before. Good grief. This actually is not my fault. And literally there's an X button that's like rotating around the screen. I don't know what's going on. Well, that was new. I'm just going to repeat the joke. A blind man walks into a bar, and then a table, and then a chair. It's there again! What is going on? There we go. Apparently my drum roll app has been taken over by ads. That's so weird. A cashier asked if I wanted my Coke in a bag, and I said, just leave it in the bottle. Okay, well, that was awkward, but that was not my fault. It's never done that. So, the quote is going to be, the true warrior fights not because he hates the one in front of him, but because he loves the one behind him. And there's not really a whole lot to explain with that. I do feel like love is a stronger emotion than anger and hatred. A lot of times when people are angry, they make mistakes, and they're not thinking straight, and it's just not a way to prevail, versus if you're fighting because you love something, you're much more level-headed, and I mean, it's still based on emotion, but it's a calmer emotion, and I feel like it can achieve victory a lot better. Not necessarily just because it's usually portrayed as good versus evil, but I just feel like it's a stronger emotion. And the other quote is, fate whispers to the warrior, you cannot withstand the storm, and the warrior whispers back, I am the storm. And I really like this one because that's one of my favorite things is when everything is going wrong, or you see someone where everything is going wrong, and they just kind of smirk. And it's like, bring it on. Like, is this the best you can throw at me? Like, I got this. And that's the way you need to be. Like, just, who cares if everything is falling down around you? Just take it all in and then accept it and take off. Start fighting back. And this goes back to my very first quote, or very first explanation, is to never quit fighting. And I mean, that's what it is. It's like, it's always better to laugh, so just smile and keep going. So anyways, that's going to be all for this one. It's probably super dark by now. Next movie is going to be Black Panther, and you can connect with me on Twitter and Facebook, and you can listen to this in podcast form. All the links are down below, and also if you're listening to this, you can watch the video on YouTube, and check out my Flickr account. It is SilverC_review. I'm posting a picture a day on there. It'll be mostly nature, but I do a lot of Photoshop work, just tricky Photoshop things that are interesting. And I also created a Pinterest account, but it'll be the same pictures as my Flickr. So check it out. I think you'll like it. And that's going to be it. Take care.